Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
In terms of the Pac-12 race, while we are on the subject here, Arizona clearly the favorite. Is there another team? And there are a couple in there. There are a couple in there that feel kind of sneaky. But is there another team in the Pac-12, Matt, that you think can really push them and maybe make a run at the title?
I mean, I really believe Colorado is the only one as of right now that can do it. I mean, when you look at what they've done, they lose to Colorado State. That's not a bad loss. I mean, we'll get into them later in the show. I mean, Colorado State's a really, really good basketball team. They lose to Florida State, who's having a down year, but that game was also in Daytona Beach, Florida. They blow out Miami, who's a team that's kind of still trying to figure it out. But you look at their offense, almost 6 guys averaging double figures. KJ Simpson, 20 per game, shooting 50% from three. They're the 14th ranked offense in the country. I think they're the team just because of how good they are on the offensive end of the floor that can push Arizona. I don't know if there's another team based on the numbers and based on where we stand right now that we can put in that category. I think Colorado is the one team right now that can.
But does it kind
agree
of
with
feel
you.
like we're
I
like?
think that game. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say, RC, does it kind of feel like we're like forcing that answer in that Arizona is just so
Because
complete that they may run away with
I
it?
mean, no, yeah, I feel like Arizona is top 2 team in the country, and I really think they're that good, and I think they're Final Four good, and I don't know many people that would argue against that. Now, when you get into conference play, it's challenging. It's always difficult, but Colorado is, I think, the one team I think could give them some difficulty in. And I think Washington can give them some run. I think Washington can give it a good run at it. They've beaten Gonzaga. They've shown that they can win big games here this year. So can they sustain it? I don't think anybody as talented as Arizona. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
only one team that I think is better than them right now, and that's Purdue. And if they play next time they play on a neutral site, which they did, but it felt like it was Purdue. But if they meet again, I just feel like Arizona could beat Purdue. So I think they're that good, and it's not that I don't think Colorado can beat them this year, or Washington can win a game. I don't think Arizona's gonna go undefeated in the Pac-12, but I do think they're head and shoulders above everyone else, and I think they'll lose maybe two games or so all year, 2 to 3 tops in the Pac-12. I just think they're that good. So it's a credit to Arizona more than it is
Yeah.
everyone else, because this Oregon team we saw tonight, if they get healthy, they can make it things get interesting as well. So beyond that, I don't UCLA. This isn't a good year for them. They're down. We we,
Mm,
we know that.
mm.
USC is the same. So I think those 4 teams will be the teams that we see at the top of the Pac-12 when it all said and done.
I want to stay on Arizona here for just a second because I'm pretty sure we were all on that preseason top 25 show and we had that discussion about Caleb Love specifically. And I know his splits aren't much different from a season ago, but when you watched Arizona, when you watch him play, there was this sort of perception about this young man that he was corrosive. Whoever that was coming from, that wherever he went, it was just going to be all about Caleb Love, and you can't win with Caleb Love, and it's all about him, him, him. And looks to me like, I mean, he hit some huge shots against FAU, Matt. I know they didn't get the ult, but I mean, he was absolutely massive, and he's been massive for this Arizona team. So what does it say, about Caleb and maybe about the situation in Arizona that he's been able to fit in and be a team guy, and again, help this team to be one of the potentially 2 best in the country?
Yeah, I mean, they missed 2 layups down the stretch of the game against FAU. I mean, they had the game, right? And he missed one of them. I mean, I had him as the other night on the Field of 68 as my top transfer in the country, strictly because of the narrative that was put out there about him last year. And almost kind of he was the reason that Carolina was not having the success that Carolina had previous season in playing for the national championship. To be able to go out to Arizona and do what he's doing, and Arizona being one of the best teams in the country, I think is extremely impressive. And that's a credit to Caleb Love. That's a credit to him, because the narrative out there, like you alluded to, it was a negative one. I mean, there was nobody talking about him in this positive light, like, hey man, this is a great get for Arizona. I was like, oh no, they shouldn't take him. He's the reason Carolina was bad this year and didn't make a run back to the Final Four. No, man, that's a credit to him. And that's why I think he still is one of the best transfers in the country. And that they're having the success that it's almost like he's liberated too. He can go out there and be himself and play the way that he wants to, and maybe with less expectations than he did last season. And I think expectations are one of the hardest things to deal with in sports. And he just looks like a different player. And I don't think there's anyone that's challenging those guys in the Pac-12. You know, Colorado, you know, maybe the one team that can do it, but credit him and credit for him going out there and connecting that team. And you know, you can see there's no issues in their locker room like maybe there were last year at Carolina. And that's why, you know, it probably wasn't his fault.
Yeah. RC got about a minute here. How freeing is it just as a player, you know, going to a situation like that where there's a winning expectation and, you know, you can still do you?
I mean, let's be honest. This split worked out for both teams, right? I mean, he's an explosive guy. He scares the hell out of you, you know, because he gets it going. You got your hands full. Like, let's be clear. And he's fit in nicely at Arizona. Like we said, we've spoken about them enough. I think they'll be there in the end. And Carolina, who we're not talking about much tonight, I think they're playing as well as anyone right now, and they're not complaining about where they are. So the transition for both was really good. Just really happy for this kid because the narrative was really unfair to him, and he's landed in a great spot, and he's playing on a great team, and they'll have something to say about it, and he gets a chance to win a natty.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.